All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh alongside Mark Kaboly. Before we get to the phone calls, I want to ask you about Antonio Brown. He's missed 3 straight practices. He has some kind of foot injury. Showed his feet on Instagram today. It was disgusting. So, I mean, if you want to go look, go ahead. I don't recommend it.
I didn't look. I quit following him because I couldn't take it anymore.
Or did he block you?
He blocked me on Twitter last year. It was classic.
I'm not blocked yet.
You know what he did? He liked, retweeted, and blocked me all right in a row. Boom, 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 back in like September. So.
That's a classic move. I think I've done that a few times. But this is one of these mysterious injuries.
Yeah, you know what it was? It was a non-football injury list that landed him on there, so it was obviously happened away from the facility. Now, for a guy to be in that good a shape, I don't know how in the world he messed up his feet with blisters. I mean, this is a guy that works out on hot sand and stuff like that. I'm sure this will all come out on Hard Knocks here. When is it? Sunday? Tomorrow? It might be tomorrow. I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure it's going to be. I mean, nobody else knows. Nobody's saying anything in the organization other than, no, they're not saying anything, actually. But
Gruden said he's disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed in what, though? How can you be disappointed if a guy's injured?
My over-under is the 4th week. That's what I'm.
That he blows up or he comes back?
Well, I'm going to say no, that there's a blow-up. I would. That's where I would put the over-under. I don't know what I would take, whether it would be the under or the over, but I think there's going to be some major issue with him on the sideline fighting with someone.
Let me ask you this.
At some point in the season, I would set the over-under at 4, so I don't know what side you would take over-under.
Where does the drama come first?
Got to be from the quarterback, right?
No, I'm saying the Oakland Raiders or the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, that's a good one. I say the Oakland Raiders because they potentially could have a rough start to the season.
Baker Mayfield, shotgunning beers.
I don't think the Browns are going to be as good as everyone thinks they are. I think they're going to be a 7-9, 8-8 team.
They got a couple cupcakes early, but then it heats up after that. So
they could lose to the Jets early. I think it's one of their first games.
Yeah, it's like their second game.
In Tennessee, they could lose to.
They
could be
0-2. San Francisco, West Coast type of swing. So.
All right, let's go out to James in Saxonburg. What's up, James?
Yeah, hey, Rich. I don't know if anything, but the Hall of Fame game is over. And normally in the Hall of Fame game, you know who's going to be in the Hall of Fame this year. Yeah. Will Troy make it this year? Will Troy not make it this year? Has there been some type of change? I don't know. I would like you to explain.
Hey, great call, James. He's eligible first year next year. Do you get a vote?
No.
Ed does, right?
Ed does. What they do is they'll vote on the process throughout the entire season. Then they will announce who gets in on Super Bowl, like the day before the Super Bowl, and that leads up to this 8 weeks or 8 months or whatever it is. So they just moved the game around a little bit, and I think that's what he might be talking about. A lot of times they had introduction, then game. This year they had game. They had
the game first.
Had the game or two first. But Troy is eligible next year. If he doesn't get in, I mean, let's just quit the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, he should definitely be in.
First. I mean, he should be like first ballot. Okay, you get so much time to make your argument. Ed will, and it should be Troy Polamalu. Okay, he's in. Let's go to the next one. That's
and just move on. But next year, I did read that they're going to increase it to 20.
It's
because of some kind of 200 years or something?
No, the thing is they got a backlog of people that need to get in, and they can't get them in because there's only 5 people eligible every year. So they came up with the gimmick. It's the 100 years of the NFL. So let's try to, unload some of these. So they just made up a rule. So.
Yeah, I think he gets in first ballot. A few Steelers could get in next year. Maybe like the Donnie Shells and the guys like that potentially could get in. Andy Russells.
Yes, that's very much potential. I mean, you look at a guy like Faneca, too, who should be in, but he probably won't get in now. If you're getting Troy in, it's like, I mean, I see a guy like nothing against him, but Kevin Mawai, good player, but, I mean, if you're putting an offensive lineman in this year, it should have been Faneca over Mawai. So.
All right, let's go out to Dave in Bell Vernon. Isn't that your old stomping ground?
Old stomping ground. I was in Bell Vernon today.
Hey, Dave.
I don't know if you heard this, but the other day on 93.7 The Fan, they were talking about the coaches in the NFL all belong to a certain organization. What I want to know is, they said the only one that don't belong in that organization is Bill Belichick. Do you guys know anything about that?
I don't. I don't. I mean, I know one thing about NFL coaches and their salaries and their, the years, the length of their deals are highly guarded. I'm not quite sure if there's actually an NFL coaches association or anything like that. I do not know. I would have to look that up. But I'll tell you one thing, they guard those salaries very closely, unlike players.
Yeah, the thing is we're going to be in this situation next year with Mike Tomlin. Is he going to get another contract extension? Isn't it going to be similar to what it was this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think you should. I mean, I think it was a happy medium, and the last thing you needed right now is more drama or any sense or semblance of drama. And if that was not giving your head coach at least something, that would have created at least a little bit of a grumble somewhere. So I think the Rooneys played it really well. They probably have absolutely zero chance of letting him go next year or whatever, but they they alluded to it by only making it 1 year. I think it was good.
Do you think they want to line all those guys up? Ben's 3 years, Tomlin's 3 years, Colbert, is he's going to play year to year, but potentially 3 years?
I really don't think so, because I don't think Tomlin would be that way, Rich. I mean, I think Tomlin coaches his team until Mike Tomlin doesn't want to coach this team anymore. And Roethlisberger, I mean, you could line him up all you want, but next year, if he wants to play to 45, that's a little different. If Kevin Colbert all of a sudden, wants to move to Tahiti because he wants to spend time with his grandkids, I don't think lining him up makes a difference at all.
All right, before we go to break, and we'll take more phone calls on the other side, I want to ask you a little bit about Ola Adaney. Bob pointed him out he was up at practice today and pointed out Ola. He's getting a lot more time because of T.J. Watt's injury, but he's still a guy that might not even make this team.
No, I don't know about that, Rich.
Okay.
I would say he's making it because if you look at depth issues there, you only have Watt and Dupree. Dupree's gone next year if they don't sign him. Obviously, he's up. Chicolo can easily be moved on from next year. And all of a sudden, you got T.J. Watt and nobody else. Ola's cheap. Ola talented. The only thing I saw from Ola was a little bit concerning is he dominated the first 4 days. He went against first-team guy Matt Filer, and Filer just destroyed him 2 days in a row. I'd like to see him do it against the first team, so I haven't seen that yet.
All right, we got to take a break. More of your phone calls, 412-575-2600. We got Pete, Al, and Mike coming up next, so stay right there.